board meeting to order. I'm going to go to the first item, which is approval of the agenda, and then staff has a comment on the agenda. Okay, that's where we're at then.
Yep. So last night at 5:10, Affinity Properties submitted a written request to extend their preliminary plat by 3 months. So I'd like to add it as agenda item 6B for approval or denial of the planning board.
And that's the handout.
That's the handout that I gave you. Has all the packet information within it.
Okay. Here, Mr. Kleberad left. Oh, there he is. He's hiding in the back. Mr. Kleberad, there was a concern expressed about whether we can add a brand new item to the agenda.
There's an opinion from the South Dakota Open Meetings Commission that reviewed that situation, and they determined that what we have to post 24 hours in advance is at a minimum is a proposed agenda, and it is allowable to add an item and take action on an item on a very, please don't do this very often kind of opinion. In this case, his preliminary plat will expire before your next meeting, the 11th, I believe it was.
Before the commission's next meeting.
For the commissioners meeting on March 11th.
Yeah. And as such, he's asking for a 3-month extension, which is allowed by the ordinance. And he's anticipating having to come back for a variance because he's just getting the plans for his development turned in at this point. So procedurally, it is allowed if the board so chooses prior to approving the agenda.
So the request at this time is just to add it to the agenda, not to grant the extension at this time. We're just adding.
This is a procedural step, and then you'll get to the merits down the road.
They'll address the merits when we get to that agenda item.
Yes, sir.
All right. Does any of the planning board have questions wish to ask questions about the procedure? Okay. All right. So if you can approve the agenda as submitted, or you can approve the agenda with an amendment to add that item 6B. Somebody has to make either motion.
I'll make the motion. We go ahead and add it to the agenda for its requirement.
That's item 6B.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The motion to add the item to the agenda is approve the agenda with the additional item 6B. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Show that I abstain from the vote, please. All right, then before we go on to other routine business, I was so excited about this, about being able to add stuff at the last second from now on, that I forgot to introduce Christian Morgan, who's new on our planning board. Welcome aboard. Your willingness to add your time and be part of this board is appreciated. Everybody here is had some good experience, except for Scott, who's brand new. He's got you by a month, so he does have seniority on you. So I don't know if that means you have to go get him coffee if he asks or not. But why don't you just kind of give a quick background on yourself, Mr. Morgan? Why don't you have to turn your mic on first? That's the first thing to learn is how to turn your mic on.
Oh, sorry. Family's been in South Dakota since 1984. I myself have lived out of state for the last 35 years approximately, returning in 2024. I have 30 years of experience in various roles in government, but have now retired from all of that, and own a commercial real estate brokerage here in the area. So, happy to be here, and honored to be selected.
All right. Well, nice to have you, and as long as you'll make motions when I need them, that'd be great. So, all right, so let's go to item 1B, approval of February 2nd, 2026 planning minutes. Those were posted with the agenda. Does anybody have any amendments to the minutes? And a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
I'll second.
And seconded by Sam. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed, think nay. Seeing none, that passes unanimously. Now is the time that the floor will be open to public comments. If you're here to speak to something not on the agenda, now would be the time to come up. That can be some item that you think you want to call attention to the planning board for future references or something going on in your area. Is anybody here for public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment and entertain a motion to enter into the Board of Adjustments.
Motion. Second.
Okay, moved by C, seconded by Mike to go into the Board of Adjustments. Takes us to item 3B, variance request section line right away, lots 122 through 124 Timberwood Park Estates.
We need a picture. There's the problem. One day.
Okay. Shannon, you want to present it?
Sure. Shannon Boston's baseline surveying. This first variance request is, excuse me, before the, if you look on the north side of these lots, there's an existing section line right away. We're just asking, clients are asking to not have to dedicate this 33 feet of section line right away. We do have the existing right away to the south that everybody accesses off of an existing road. And that's basically the public-private access, public easement area. So this first variance is just to not have to dedicate the north half of their lots. So we just did this previously a month or so ago to the same lots just east of here. Apparently, so, and they did the same thing where they purchased a lot in between, and then the two landowners split the land in half, so, and added it to their lots.
Shannon, they didn't. Yeah, they didn't ask to not do the. Did they? Okay.
Yeah, I think you might be confusing it. There is a plat that the developer's pushing that's on the east side where he was asking for that I think we rejected. He said, no, you're going to have to dedicate. These are the developed lots of his phase 2, I think, that and we've done that for probably 3 or 4 times where we haven't made them dedicate when they've been, because they've not been increasing density and it'd be a dedication in the middle of nowhere.
So this is a prior plat, see, that was recorded. So all these lots abut the section line. So as they've been consolidating lots in between or whatever, they've been requesting not to dedicate the section line that runs.
I was thinking of the one.
Yep, so the other one you're thinking of, the one on the east side over
Red,
here is
yeah.
coming through, yes. And that's the one that was denied at the last for Caskey, yes.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
thought,
Nope.
that's okay. I was thinking the same thing when I first looked at it. So that, so, and if I recall that you're going to need a couple variances for this one.
Yes.
In fact, the second variance is the same kind of issue. We're going to have to make separate motions, but anything else you want to explain why you need the 2 variances? So
No, really the second variance is to accept the existing road in conditions the way they are without having to bring them up to Meade County standards. So Those are the two variances.
Kristen, do you have a question?
I did, but go ahead.
I'm sorry. How many lots of those in the, across the top? 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, about 15 lots up there? How many of them do have that variance already?
Off of this one here.
Yeah, that's
phase
one of it.
7.
So we did
Phase 7.
phase 7. Decots was they were 19, 20, 21. We
Yes,
did
I believe
those
there's 2. Yep.
2. We have some on the others. 2
We-
right now.
Yeah, when we've done a couple variances internally where the variance was just for the road upgrade, where they were down, and I think we did one on the south end too, potentially.
Did one on the south end for building permit,
Yeah,
so closer to the section line on the south side of the development. So this subdivision C is almost all built out. It's the remaining single
No,
lot.
I know that. I just was trying to figure out how many, or since we denied the other side, how many on this side have we already granted?
yeah. Part of the thing on the other side, that's a whole new phase going into a whole new section, which is part of the reason why part of the problem we've got, as I see this, is just the way they let them do it without dedicating stuff historically. And so it's kind of one of those, can't fix it, but as long as they're not making the density more, I tend to think I don't have a problem with it. That's kind of just as long as they're reducing the possible density by getting rid of a lot. If they wanted to subdivide, I'd probably say, no, you have to start dedicating stuff or upgrade the road. That's my thoughts on it.
So Shannon, all the parties involved in this particular situation are all in agreement with this. There's no conflicts or anything.
No.
Okay. And staff, you're okay with their recommendation for this variance based on that precedent already set?
Yeah, because both lots are already fully developed here, and then the center one is just being divided to give more space between the two.
Just making bigger lots.
Bigger lots, yes.
Taking 3 lots, making 2 bigger lots.
I had a quick question, if that's okay. A couple of them, actually. It sounds like there's already some precedence here. There's lots along this. This has already been vacated, so even if
It's not been vacated.
other lots have been vacated, though,
Not vacated. This is a variance. The section line still exists in all these situations.
section line exists, but the use of the right-of-way along that section line has been vacated. That use has not on other lots. So this entire section line is still.
It's still an open.
Still, somebody could still drive down it or walk down it. They can't stop it. But they don't have to dedicate it, which would cut it off as from their lot, where it would become essentially controlled totally by the county.
Understood. What is the reason the applicant is requesting that?
Well, I think in most cases where we have an existing road, like the road frontage, most time that's not an issue. We usually dedicate that because it's going to be public right-of-way used in creating lots, so this north side just happens to be a section line, and whether there will be a road there in the future, you can never say never, but it's just, once you dedicate that, then it goes to the county. I don't know, I guess how I create it just creates a little
overview.
It doesn't take away the public's use for a section line right away, but it actually just leaves that acreage within the lot itself. So
One of the things on this is, given where these are at, is if they were up like next to a corner, the discussion might be different, but if you dedicated them interior, you would just have 2 little pieces dedicated out of that mile. Just doesn't. The odds of a road getting developed there, given the fact the way this happened.
And with the dedication or not with the dedication, somebody would still have the right to build a road there.
Okay, that was
in
my
the future.
confusion. I guess I assumed incorrectly that, the section line automatically by state law included that.
Yes, you can build a road in the section line. I could, or whoever had the reason or petition the county to improve that section line, that can still be done, whether we dedicate it or not, so.
Okay.
Yeah, theoretically, somebody on one corner of that could say, I want to come in, I want to build a back access in, I'll build it to county specs, and the county could allow them to do that, and the landowners could stop it.
My only other question is the property owner to the north, then, does this apply to his side of that section line as well?
No, it's just for the south side.
Make a motion to approve the variance. Let's see, we're not dedicating, right? The section line on the property, at plating, at time of plating.
Okay. Yeah, so that'd be 3B, and that is to waive the requirement that you have to dedicate the section line area of the involved lots.
Second.
Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, let's go to 3C. Does anybody have specific questions for Shannon on this references the existing road that they don't have to try to bring it up to spec, the current county specifications. Might have been when it was built, might have been the specific county specs, but we've changed up those specifications the last couple of years ago.
Yep. And again, just as a reminder, we're taking a lot and getting rid of density, so we're basically getting rid of the potential that further to be another home there. So, just want to make that point. I mean, we're not actually creating more lots, so.
Questions for Shannon? Staff have anything else? Any motions?
The motion to approve the variance to not have to bring Frontier Loop up to Article 6.
Go ahead.
Moved and seconded by Scott over the competition. And then you got C down as making the motion, I believe. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? That passes unanimously. Can I get a motion to exit the Board of Adjustment?
Second.
Moved and second to exit the Board of Adjustment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So we'll go under 4 variances for Planning Board. These are variances to the building code, correct?
Highway.
Highway, okay.
Ordinance 10 is
Ordinance 10, excuse me, highway. So these variance requests pursuant to the county ordinance, the planning board does, and the reason we do this outside the Board of Adjustment, the planning board is not the final decider of this. The actual commission sits as a Board of Adjustment when road issues are decided. But pursuant to the county ordinance, you have to come to us first for recommendations. So if we vote for it or against it, or if you vote for it based on conditions, that's a recommendation to the commission. And then the commission will hear it. So, Shannon? This is
So once again, it's kind of the repeat from just previously. Again, this is the first one for the section or the road?
ordinance.
Oh,
10.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yep,
it,
I'm
it
sorry.
doubles up kind of with your second
Okay.
one because
Yep.
you got to have county road spec on your plat. Then.
Right, okay. So yes, for the variance, consideration is for to leave the county, or leave the existing road the way it is without bringing it up to Meade County specs. So,
Yeah, and the reason we see this in under 2 sections is because the variance is needed both for platting and both as required under Ordinance 10. So it's in 2 spots. So this is essentially the same discussion as 3C.
Recommend to the commission, that they approve need, I didn't say that right. Word it properly for me. Forget the double negatives I'm trying to put in there. To approve not needing to bring up to specs Frontier Loop on the south side of these properties.
Okay, there's a motion, is there, to not require the improvement of Timberwood Park Drive. Is that Timberwood Park there?
Frontier.
Frontier
Or
Loop.
Frontier, excuse me. Oh, that's the subdivision, I'm sorry. Not to require the improvement of Frontier. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, so variance request B. Yours, Shannon, or somebody else's?
Darren Howie's.
Oh, for the same road.
No, this is for Mark.
Oh. Yeah.
Mr. Howie, explain what you need here today or requesting.
We're looking for a variance to say 300 foot off the property line rather than the new county ordinance of 500 foot off the property line for the approach going into the Mark and Jody Nash land. The stuff to the north of it is right on the property line, and the approach is actually touched for the two different properties up there. And it's completely flat. Visibility is not an issue. Troy has went out and looked at it, didn't see any issue with it, so we're just trying to get a variance down to 300 feet.
Is that a section line road then that goes south of like that Deerdorf's property?
I believe that's just a platted access.
Platted access. Dias Avenue is the section line right away.
The one going north-south?
North and south is,
Okay. Questions for the proponent?
Yes, sir. Do we have to worry about floodplain or water runoff or anything with the access points being closer than 500 feet? Any issues possibly build up of standing water and stuff like that, the culverts and all that?
The ditch is so flat there, we're max going to get a 12-inch culvert in there. It's just almost completely flat. I know it's drawn in floodplain. I don't know when it flooded. They're going to have it surveyed out for a building permit. We're just trying to gain access to get materials in.
And how do you feel about this, staff?
I had Troy Eastman look at this one because it's on a collector road. Approved it. The approach permit contingent on the variance.
He approved it, but do you approve it?
Yeah, I do. The floodplain is actually to the west. It's Boxelder Creek is to the west. This blue line here is just part of the wetlands map. Flooding actually comes from the west. It goes to the east.
Thank you for the geography.
Geography's pretty rough.
So where it says floodplain area, that A, that's just actually wetlands, not flood? Or
It's floodplain, but the flooding source is actually further to the west. It floods from the creek and goes northwest.
questions? Is that a creek that goes through it or just a drainage then?
Just a draw.
Just a draw. Yeah, it shows up on the wetlands inventory mapping.
Discussion? Thoughts? Motions?
Anyone from the audience?
Oh, does anybody here from the audience wish to testify about this one?
Motion, we approve the variance from 500 feet to 300 feet for the requested change.
Second.
seconded to. Thanks for catching me on that, Sam. Moved and seconded to approve the variance requested. Well, it's a recommendation. Recommend the commission to approve the variance. Discussion on the motion.
One question, it says that the highway department was consulted on that. Was the sheriff's office also consulted from a safety aspect or anything like
No.
that? Is that typical to do?
Department.
Generally, the sheriff's office from that kind of consultation wouldn't be unless there's a specific issue called out. This is relatively flat through there, if I recall correctly.
Correct.
Area. So there's good visibility. Sheriff generally doesn't want to be involved in most of this stuff, unless we have like maybe a visibility question where he has a concern.
So the highway department determined there's no visibility issue.
Yeah, and that's Troy Eastman that referring to is a highway superintendent. Right, Eastman, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And if it becomes where we have doubts, we master transportation plan, or we go out to HDR.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Seeing none, those in favor of recommending the variance to the commission signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? That will pass. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Back to my agenda. All right, so that'll move us to old business. Final plats of lots 7R and 9, Block 4, Pleasant Valley Estates. Brought somebody new today.
Yeah, we did. August Hagman. I'm the owner. Shane Matt with Interstate Engineering.
Okay. Just want to just give, most of the board has seen this already once, but why don't you give us a quick summary, especially the fact we have a couple new people on the board.
Sure. Basically, we're just doing a subdivision of a lot out of a larger parcel. I can't remember exactly, over 40 acres. They just want to subdivide it for a family member, if I'm correct. And, primarily, that's why we're asking for the subdivision of that lot. I don't know if there's anything we've I think met all the requirements in coordination with planning. Got them all the utility information, all the rest of the drainage and stuff was done before on the plat, previous plats. So Gary and Unity did the subdivision before, and for the Hagmans trying to get this plat through. Signed there was an agreement to do a master plan if they ever would want to subdivide further. Fine with that. We looked at the approaches. Yep, you asked last time to look at the approaches to make sure they're. It's 185 feet to where Gary and Ann want to put their approach for the building, or well, where we assume, which is right there's our graphic. The best spot is that little knob there off the side of the road. So it's over 185 feet away. Use 150 feet. Got the easement agreements, and will be executed after the plat is filed immediately. It's fully executed, just needs to be filed with it, basically.
Yeah, filed after the plat is.
Yep.
Okay. Hagman, anything you want to add?
I mean, the primary reason was the subdividing was for my parents' place, and there was restrictions on the square footage. So the only way to have a little bit larger house was to divide. Always keep all
rather than an ADU.
Okay, so you'll build on one, the parents build on the other.
Correct.
Questions for the proponents? Okay, we've seen this a couple times. Is there anybody else here to speak to this plat today? This is a final plat. No infrastructure requirements because it's all in already, correct? So the approval would be subject to them also executing, agreeing to that if they go to further subdivide the lots that they require a master plan. So, anybody would make a motion?
To approve the plat with the understanding further subdivision.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion on the motion. One thing I'd say for the two new members, the UDs who have done this development have been very good at working with the county, coming in and providing this stuff on preliminary and then working through and taking direction. The UDs were the original developers, sold them, sure, to you, Mr. Hager.
Yes, sir.
And so they've done a nice job and worked really well with the county. So I think they've done a good job of covering all the bases.
But there's no requirement. I understand it's going to stay within the family, but there's not a requirement that that actually happens. I mean,
Yeah, so they could.
You could essentially sell this.
They could sell a lot. Yeah, we're not tying them together, but the lots meet the requirements. The issue with this one is that land gets kind of rugged towards the back. The UDs had actually looked at maybe doing a third phase back there, but the the terrain is pretty tough to build infrastructure back through there, so they decided to sell it as a bigger.
The build across the drainage would have been not only expensive, but it would have been very significant, and so it was just decided that in the end, so that's the reason they're doing a larger parcel that he purchased. Yep.
Yeah, but the parcel's large enough that they can carve out that piece up front.
Meets all the requirements of somebody else buying it. So.
All right. Let's move and second. Other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? And then that passes unanimously. We'll go to, looks like we're back to Mr. Howie. To the preliminary plats of lots 1 through 4, Block 4 in Bridle Ridge acres. That's, do you need it right now or can you wait? Come on up, Mr. Howie. Second. Okay. All right.
All right.
Aaron or Shannon,
Okay.
take us away.
Shannon Boston's baseline surveying again. So we have a plat, your consideration of 4 larger lots, 9 acres and above. Basically the same, it's in the same area where we have had other platting before, just to the north. So kind of looking at the same situation, same road builds, county specs, water will be supplied from Bridle Ridge Water, what is it officially called?
Bridle Ridge Water Association.
Yep. So, and then I'll let Darren talk about, because this particular plat does show a future access easement running to the west, 66 foot wide. to an actual future road, but what we're doing, we're asking for approval today contingent upon that be removed due to Darren received approach permits from Pennington County for the property to the west of there that will allow him to do a loop style system road section in there that basically wouldn't really require that future access to be needed. So, and I can let Darren talk a little bit more about that and the approaches and stuff. But basically, for our plat purposes, the only reason we did have that is it was just the unknown of ever receiving those approach approvals, and now we officially have. So, correct?
Correct.
Give us that regional look again. So, as I understand it, just so we can get through, board might remember that this area right here, they brought in up.
Correct.
And but this is the county line here. Section line road. They'd have to hook up to.
Pennington County did not want us to access their roads off of Meade County property.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, you know, there was a discussion for him to leave access points either going north and or east on that. And west. I mean, if you do that and you start cutting off those other access points, you sell those lots, and all of a sudden Pennington County moves back on you. There's nothing we're going to be able to do about that. So.
We have it in writing. We got a contract on it.
Okay. So the plat today does not need additional access. He has to take the risk.
As they're designing it right now.
Well, what we have today does not need it. What he does in the future, you know, if he's got just the Pennington County stuff, we're going to have to see the plat. Yeah. We're not passing on that plat today, so
correct.
You know, the risk falls to you that something gets wonky and you need another access point.
Understood.
No, if Pennington County. Do we know, before we make a decision, that the other sovereign government that may be correlaterally involved with this situation is fully abreast of what you intend to do, so you don't find out 9 or 10 months later that it's all gone kablooey? In regards to Pennington County knows exactly what's going on this side of the road, and they know exactly what you're planning to do and everything, and as long as you don't go on their road from Meade County property, they're not going to cause you any problems or anything.
I now have access to the Pennington County Road, where they wouldn't grant it before because they said all the tax dollars were staying here. So we got permits last Thursday to access 2 permits so we can do the loop style in that next phase, so we no longer need access north or east.
So essentially, I don't even know what their zoning and coding laws are. So the egress and everything else is met for both counties, then, is what you're telling me.
Correct.
So this is a copy of Darren's approach permits that were signed by the Meade County for his
Pennington County.
For Pennington County. Yes. So the South 80 has been sent down to Pennington County Planning and Zoning for review, just out of courtesy because we send them back and forth when we're on the lines.
So you're talking about what we're having today has been sent to them.
Today has not, the South 80 was, and today's plat was a deferral from January, so now we're just finally getting the access approaches and everything cleaned up from Pennington County.
Well, but the plat that deals with Pennington County is not in front of us today. Okay.
No, all she's saying is it was submitted to Pennington County for their review to see what Darren's plan was for that particular piece.
As this is platted today, is there actual access to lot 2 from the Skullet Court?
Yes, there is. The map does not show it, but there is access, and I will build both approaches and roads into those pieces before I sell them.
Yeah, so, yeah, all the four accesses are gonna have to come off of cul-de-sac. Well, or not at the actual end, but on that road. We won't have any other access going out to, what is the road there?
Oakville?
Elkville, thank you. So, got drainage mapped. How,
Like there was like a agricultural stock pond in that southeast corner lot too.
yeah, yeah, I'm
Crossing
looking.
that?
Yeah,
eliminating
that's
that?
a good question.
Neither. There is room. Tanya had asked last week how we were going to access those, and there is room for a full road going straight north on that property line before the stock dam.
Boy, it sure doesn't look like it on lot 2. Going north or going west?
Going north. I agree, it doesn't look like it. That's why I sent the email last week if we can meet on site to prove that it does.
Did you go out and look at it on site?
Last week, no, I have not.
Haven't been out to it yet.
Well, I did when we did the 8 to the north. We approved the last one for Swell Court. I kind of saw it, but it has. I have talked to Kyle Hibbs on this, on his drainage plans, and I know he has revised his. Oops.
That one. Can you zoom in on that one?
Yep.
That one you can see better that there's 20-some feet wide there between where the elevation starts to fall and the property line.
So your road wouldn't really affect the historic flow rate of that?
Correct.
Wait, but you still have to get across that drainage somehow. I mean, even when you go north, if you're going to cut over into that building spot, well, I guess it depends on where he wants to build, but
Building site on that is clearly north of that drainage. You wouldn't want to build south of the drainage.
because it's lower or what?
Correct. For lot 4? Or for lot 3 or lot 2?
Lot 2.
Lot 2, you're not going to build through the drainage easement. You're going to be on top of it. Or above it, I should say.
Yeah, so are we going to see a new plat? What, are you seeing that the drainage is in the wrong spot on the plat?
I'm saying it's hard to see off of black and white paper without being on site and looking at the terrain.
Well, but that's what we have is black and white paper, and right now you're showing that property line goes right through the drainage easement. Am I missing that? Am I incorrect?
A pencil line is over 20 foot wide on that scale of map.
Yeah, again, though, the way I'm reading this is that's the drainage easement goes into lot 1, correct?
Negative.
Well, it's on your map. Maybe in real life it doesn't, but this is the plat I'm looking at. And all I have is the plat. The drainage easement is into lot 1, north of the cul-de-sac. Is it not on your design, Shannon?
Yeah, it's right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was being told it wasn't.
Well, I think Darren's just saying that the space in there, so, or design their easements, or drainage easements. I was thinking there might have been a 25-foot setback, which we have to still add to that drainage easement, so, but.
Other questions?
So it's the setback that actually goes into lot one and not necessarily the,
No, it's the drainage.
No, it's a drainage easement, yep.
Tanya?
Oh,
Hi.
sorry. I didn't know where it was coming from.
I'm everywhere.
Lights that pop up here.
So, do you feel comfortable with us making a decision on this particular item before you or someone you trust go out there and assess? Because I'm obviously getting yin and yang stuff here. Is it better that we wait to make a decision until you or someone you know can attest to what Mr. Commissioner Walzak's concerns are?
The way I understand the ordinance is he met the requirements for the ordinance. Drainage comes heavily at final plating. The roads meet the requirements, stuff meets. If the final plat comes through and we don't have the roads or access, then he will not get a final plat until that is addressed correctly.
And he's not going to go all through this not to get a final plat, I assume, right?
That is his choice to continue on with it. It's just a preliminary approval based on the road design and just a drainage flow pattern. The drainage plans come at final. It's the way our ordinance is set up, unfortunately. He meets the requirement today.
I'm trying to read Talbot's expression, but he's stone-faced.
Oh, yeah.
In my nature to be stone-faced.
So the ordinances, I've had a lot of conversation with Kyle Hibbs and other designers that a lot of this stuff would be nice to have at preliminary, or this would be more of a concept plat, that this is what they could go design, and then go to engineering plans where you would have engineering plans, and then here's your preliminary go through, build it this way, and then come back with your final. We kind of missed a step in there. So the final plat is always heavy on all the infrastructure to be built, and then as built, does it correctly work with our ordinance?
Or the souffle will not rise. Okay.
Yeah, I just don't, I mean, I'm not against you crossing over a drainage because you can design culverts for it, but he's just going up on top of the drainage for 100 feet or better.
Maybe it's something we look at. Lot 1 and 2 ends up with an angle line. The lot line ends up angled with their approach built to make it work better.
Yeah, there might be a redesign that makes some sense there, but if you don't have, I just don't know how you, I mean, it'd be like saying there's a creek there, but I can go right on top of the creek for 100 feet and design it somehow. I mean, you're going to have to either reconfigure the land to change your flows or change up everything else. I don't get it. So
that driveway would have a minimum width, I'm assuming, by code, or no? Is there no?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, it will.
What would it be then? How narrow, what's the narrowest it would narrow down to if you're basically on top of that?
Depending on where we put the house, we'll probably only go 16 foot with the main drive in and then widen it out as it gets closer to the home.
So 16 feet would be the most narrow that would be?
Correct.
And I'm assuming the fire district would be okay with that kind of width?
On private property, there isn't. It's only on the county road coming in that we have that requirement. But yes, a fire engine can go down 16 feet. Clearly, if it doesn't work, I can't sell the lot. I've walked it, I know it. I'm going to have to meet all the specs at final. I know that it's going to work.
You know, the difficulty we get is when we have these dry years, then all of a sudden we let people do something, and then all of a sudden the people are coming in and say, I can't get to my house because there's so we're trying to catch those issues. Not a question whether it works today, it's whether it works in a wet year. So what would you need to satisfy that question? drive up that property line.
Probably more information from engineering.
Yeah, Kyle, I don't have anything else from Kyle. The other option is you add a easement agreement to lot 1 to access lot 2. But off of the drainage completely.
No questions?
Unfortunately, the engineer's out of town, so, because he's really the one that designs the width of those easements, so I really can't even speak on that, so, but we'll definitely be working with him, you know, for whatever concerns there are.
So we're, and then we'll get design for water system expansion into this then too, or, because are you hooking up to a water system?
Yeah,
or?
they're on the plan set that's attached.
All right.
Yep, no, it's fine. Fire hydrant, there's water system already there, culvert designs. They were just
There somebody else here to speak to this plat today? You guys are back there. You're making me nervous. Is there something specific you want to address today? 'Cause this is our last regular. Well, there's except for the new item. All right. Well, you need to make me nervous then. Yeah. Or don't maybe. You get me North Dakota's oil money, we'll work really well. Yeah. Okay. Do you have any other? Oh, they're your lots. All right. So you're okay with what we did? Okay. Yeah. Now. Yeah, you're supposed to be quiet. The boss is telling you to be quiet back there before you get yourself in trouble. So. Stop talking. Oh. All right. Okay. Other questions for the proponents? Doesn't look like we have any opponents here today. Okay, so request is to allow this to go forward as preliminary. Trying to get back to staff's report or any conditions staff saw. So okay to condition it on that access being figured out before, obviously.
I agree with you.
Okay. Questions, comments?
Well, I'm going to do something unusual. I'm going to take a leap of faith because the gentlemen sitting before us have given us a lot of good discussions and obviously have always been very thoughtful in their analyses. And yeah, this obviously is one of the more grayer area ones that I've seen since sitting on the board, but I'm leaning towards approving it. With the condition you put in there.
You have to make a motion.
Okay.
Or are you just telling us what you were going to do, or you're actually going to do something?
I'm actually going to do something. Boy, I guess I am getting involved in politics.
Yeah.
I motion that we approve the preliminary plat as presented with the condition mentioned by Chairman Commissioner Wolzak in regards to setting up the mitigation of the road access on the culvert. Is what you were bringing up.
Well, the difficulty is he's going to have to prove he has access there, because if you look at the plan, it looks like it goes, the drainage actual easement goes 25 feet into the other property, and he's telling us there's plenty of room. So that's on the west side of that property line. You got 25 feet on the other side where the drainage easement. You're going to drive over the top of a drainage easement for 100 feet. You're going to build if you're gonna build a driveway right down a drainage easement, that doesn't seem to make much sense to me. But he's saying that the layout is wrong, and that it's actually further west, if I'm correctly stating your position.
Correct.
Yeah, but that's not what the plat shows. So,
We just need an adjustment, or
well, you need to prove,
We need to
otherwise you're
prove,
gonna need another
right.
access
Yeah.
point.
update on it.
Because
Or a lot line adjustment, I think, would also work.
yeah, lot line adjustment or easement or some other kind of, that gets you around it.
Is it impossible to go south and around and over? I mean, that
No.
you could do that if, in theory.
It just makes more sense to me to build north, but yeah, you can still go south underneath the face of the dam. Or if you wanted to have fun, you could go over the face of the dam.
No.
Is that all your motion?
Oh, feel free to add.
I'll second it. If you're good.
If the motion is solid, because to be honest with you, it's kind of spinning around my head. I didn't take my Prevagen today, so. Did the motion make sense?
Moved and seconded. Discussion on the motion.
With the amendment that it's, Wyzoric. Albert Wyzoric.
I want to make sure when he pronounces it the other way that's how it's spelled in the minutes, so somebody thinks it's somebody else that he's.
And not you. Sorry, Mike.
Okay.
We're all picking on you today.
Don't worry about it. I got to get used to it. I'm running for a county position. Motion to approve the preliminary plat being corrected to show adequate road access or a lot adjustment.
Yeah, I think or showing that correction in the drainage showing that the access exists at that point.
So you need to add that part.
So I'd add that. I mean, because it's not just those two options. The third is what he's
Making sure they have good access to their house.
yes, essentially. All right. Stan, are you still a second on that?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay, moved and seconded. A discussion on the motion. All right, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'll be an aye also for the preliminary. Oh, but I'll be picky as hell on it when it comes back, just so you know.
So you're going to come see it in person.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll have to do that even. Then I gotta trust where Shannon puts the stakes, so.
Well,
Well, I already said my plat's wrong, so I'm not doing
Yeah. All right, we're gonna move to the new item. Thanks for coming in
Thank
today,
you.
gentlemen, and thanks for letting me work you over for a while. We go to 6A, preliminary plat. Now, you guys are here to talk about this one, right? Come on up then if you want. Yeah. You're gonna rely on Shannon. That's a very risky spot to be.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Shannon.
Okay, so here, we're looking for, preliminary plat approval. So as you can see the dash lines where the lot that they purchased. Those are the old lot lines, and you can see the new lot line in the bold in between there, the more solid line. That's gonna be the split between the property that they're splitting up. So you can see, once again, we had a platted lot, now we're just eliminating one to create more space for, just more legroom, if you'd say, and possible, future building, so.
I'm looking back there and making sure none of them are rushing the mic, so.
They want to pay more taxes.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. Again, you just got to get me that North Dakota oil money, and I'll fix that. All right, discussions or questions for Shannon? Staff see any issues?
No.
Thanks for bringing this one, Shannon. I made most of our items today, so
Yeah,
enjoy
you
your
bet. It's like,
So, as Christian, as we told Scott the last meeting, it was the shortest meeting I think we've ever had, and might be like second shortest potentially. We'll see. We'll see now. The chain's got to come back up. So, but so the secret, I guess, is to have a new board member every month.
Yeah.
Meetings. So, all right. So, any motions or comments?
Motion to approve the preliminary plat of lots 122R and 124R of Timberwood Park Estates Phase 7.
There's moved and seconded for approval of preliminary plat. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right. Good luck with your new land.
Thank
yeah,
you.
you just got that much more mowing to do now. For the new item on the agenda, item 6B, I have been recusing myself from items dealing with this plat, so I'm going to recuse myself, and Sam is going to run the meeting. So,
Yeehaw.
so knock yourself out, buddy.
Let's start from the top. Call this meeting to order. All right, so we have, this is the new addition for agenda item 6B. Tanya or Shane? Shane, you want to start out with this? Present?
Sure. We submitted the updated section line road on Thursday last week. You know, that we discussed all along. And Tanya informed us on Friday that, and I wasn't totally aware of it, and that the 1 year was expiring here. So that's the reason. And we apologize for the late date, but we were not totally aware of that, and two and two didn't get put together. And because, as you know, I got pulled into this project only about 5 months ago, and so that. And I apologize. I should have looked into more, but but that we've got told that, so that's the reason we're here at a late date. But we need a couple more months to get this pulled together. We're making really good progress. We've been working with an airport engineer to address a lot of things, you know, some of the stuff HDR brought up, and we are probably approximating here. The airport's, the runway and stuff is probably 80% complete.
Okay.
Right now. We're just finalizing some coordination back and forth on that. The subdivision itself is probably 60% complete with, or it's probably 80% complete on drainage and probably 60% on grading. And just to give you an update, and then the water system is probably the biggest thing lagging behind, and that's probably going to be our biggest, just because everything else had to get figured out first was the priority. Now we're going to be really focusing on getting the water system, and we've been coordinating with DNR on that.
And that water system is interior within that you're referring to, because the well was already.
Yep, have a really good well. So working on that, and so making good progress. That's what we're going to be really. I mean, all of this is going to be coming together, and we also got Husker Way that also has to be regraded. So we got that probably. It's grading's 80%. Plans are probably 60% along.
Okay.
So, and all the drainage associated with that. All the drainage associated with that. It's kind of the reason it took a while to get section line to you, because we had to make sure all these other drainage, the Husker Way, the subdivision, and everything else worked with that worked with the section line right away, relocated road. So that's where we're at. So
Staff has been out there at all? Any of it?
No, I have not been out there.
Troy been involved with any of the road stuff with section line?
Just what the commissioners have asked him to do.
Okay.
And we'll clarify, we have made a few minor changes to the subdivision, betterments in our opinion, based on some of the comments we've heard, and on the runway, based on some of the comments we heard, and some of the airport engineers' comments, but nothing significant, nothing substantial. It's just some betterments, you know, changing this this drainage culvert, changing this approach, and it's all due to safety and all things that were commented on. We haven't, after our HDR's comments, it's still the same length, basically a runway. We just had to make sure we get channels around it, etc., safely, and meet FAA requirements. Again, we're not required to meet FAA, but we're trying to meet them as close as we can, and that is what we're doing. So we've made some adjustments.
And with it private, that's why.
It's private. We don't technically have to, but we're trying to meet it as close as we can.
Sure.
This is the project that actually put part of the runway on a section line, so you guys had to we had to redesignate the section line, and
Right.
you guys brought that section line up to the county specs on your own, correct?
The section line is getting to get vacated. It was vacated. It got an easement put back in place, was the agreement with the county, and we are now. Yep, and we showed the road in one location. It did get requested to be moved further east, all the way over to basically to the east property line, and that we have done that. So, and that's what the plans are that we submitted to Tanya on Thursday, and we're here to answer any questions on that. But we've designed the culvert. Just drainage out there has been interesting. Let's just put it that way. It's very flat, and trying to build a road, we had to basically build a road up in a low spot to get culverts under it. So this road's going to stick out of the ground a little bit.
So, in other words, you're basically putting in a road as a fill.
Yes, in most places, yes. Not all of it.
I pay attention.
Yeah, you're basically right.
Okay.
So it's been part of the reason it's taken a little while to get all this addressed and figured out, and also under the runway for the just make sure it's all copacetic. We're not going to flood somebody out, and connecting up to Elk Creek Road has been challenging because that road was never designed to any type of standards before, and it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be better than it was. So because there's just no to stay within the 60-foot right, and there was a utility built in the right of way up there.
And is any of this Infinity project within the new boundaries of the supposed Haynes Avenue TIF that was just recently passed?
That's our understanding.
Yeah, and to bring up our two new members here to speed, that was one of our biggest questions that we had all along and concerns was the drainage out there in that area. And so it's good to see the, addressing and I'm sure it came with a lot of challenges because it was a pretty low-lying area.
Our intent right now is not to exceed the density that we proposed at the preliminary, that he proposed with his other engineer at the preliminary plat. Same density,
okay.
But no more.
Okay.
Is the request? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The lots may have changed slightly, but it's still the same density. I mean, the size, shape and size and road layout. Because we're finding out that there's some things we'll be talking with Tanya about, but we will actually probably looking at a little slightly larger than typical right-of-ways, just because it's both used by airplanes and
vehicles.
So we'll be talking about that, but I don't want to get into details of the design at this second. Sure. But I just want to let you know that there's some things in talking with the airport engineers and with looking at everything, there were some things that we needed to make some tweaks on to make betterments.
Yeah, and the purpose of this is to extend.
Right. That's what I want to keep clear. Is that just to extend right now?
Well, that's my question. Is it to extend to June or up to June? Because it's written both ways. Is the request to come back in June, or is it if they're done sooner, could they come back and proceed?
They can come back sooner, but they have to ask. So if they're not finished by June 11th of 2026 with the preliminary plat start, then they can ask for a variance process to extend that. But it's a request.
The extension has to go up to June 11th, but not necessarily on that.
We'll be working very closely with planning over the next couple of months as we get closer and closer to it. We'll have a few questions.
So, any other questions to bring everybody up to speed on the scope of what we're trying to achieve here? And this is an extension, so
I motion that we authorize the preliminary plat extension for an additional 3 months.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Missed the public comment, but I don't think anybody was here to comment from the public. I missed the one thing I reminded Talbot on earlier.
Yeah, I was kidding. That's all right. Okay, thank you, Sam, for covering that.
Yep.
Staff, can you give a quick rundown of the materials you provided for all the planning members? So,
Oh, yeah.
and I did get cross-examined by one of them asking whether we're going to see so much paperwork every month. So,
You never know. No. So you have a binder that has the ordinances that are the most used for either variances or relate to Ordinance 20, back and forth. And then there's bylaws in there, and then there's our comprehensive plan that was approved June of 2024. So you guys, if you're reviewing stuff, you weren't trying to go back and forth between internet and stuff. The plan is to start revising some of the ordinances as we move forward throughout the year. So as I talk about them, maybe highlight, and if you guys have any suggestions, I'm up for trying to eliminate some of these variances that aren't really needed all the time, but are requested in our ordinance.
yeah, so I think it's a good idea to kind of have the paperwork sometimes, flipping back and forth sometimes on a computer screen is hard for me. The comment that I want to follow up too on is Tanya is looking and kind of collecting a list of how to maybe make some edits to these. So if you're going through and have other thoughts, feed them back to Tanya. And then the master transportation plan is
That one, sorry.
what's that?
I forgot about the master transportation.
Okay. You want to go ahead? You can talk about it first.
You're good.
Oh well, I'm not sure I'm good, but the master transportation plan was adopted by the county back in 2022. The master transportation plan has is an obligation before you can require people to dedicate and things like that. So it guides us on some of the road requirements that staff then makes upon parties as they come forward. So that's it's an interesting to kind of flip back through it because you start looking at where some of the growth is. You can kind of see that we're seeing the growth where it was anticipated, and some of the more road demands. Even this, there had always been a vision that 220th, which is Husker Place 220th, that's involved in what you're just talking about, that would have to go through someday. And I didn't think it would be this quick, but I think it's probably going to get built through a lot sooner than I thought now at this point. And that was stuff was discussed in the master plan.
So, out of curiosity on the code, is there any ordinances or amendments that have not been codified that are living somewhere else, or has everything been kind of updated into the current code?
Should be included that I have ordinance-wise. Codified law is I just still use South Dakota Codified Law online.
Okay. Yeah. So
chapter 9 or 11?
Well, 11 is the platting.
11.
9 is the municipal. So these are the county ordinances we rely on, but like when we sit as a board of adjustment, the state law requires us that you have to vote 2/3 to give a variance. So that's 5 of 7 members have to vote for it. Like there are times where we're short a couple people and people come up for variances, and I'll say you have to have a unanimous vote because the way the statute reads is it's of the number of on the board, not the number present at the meeting. So there are some state statutes that intertwine with our application of these. Most of them are procedural based, and those can be found under, I think it's chapter 11.6, if I remember correctly, and 11.9. So there's some procedural aspects controlled by state law.
I guess my question was more about, if there's additional ordinances or changes to existing ordinances that have not been updated within the code, but are just waiting to be codified. But it doesn't sound like that's the case.
Yeah, we don't have anything pending right now, except for what I just mentioned that Tanya has been kind of keeping a running list of maybe some things she thinks in ordinance 20 that should be addressed. You know, because it's a lot easier to kind of go in and do. It's almost as much work to do 2 as it is to do 10 edits. So, so she's trying to accumulate some of those with the idea of maybe getting that done this year. That's the goal. So, so it's so some of those are pending. That's why as you read through them, if you see some things that are off, feel free to provide some commentary on. Even on the roads, you know, frankly, Tanya and I have had a discussion about some of these definition of roads, whether, you know, where do we really need 100 versus 120, and whether that should be cleaned up, because there's, you know, we're trying to capture this extra frontage, even though it's maybe area of a road we're not going to need for another 30 or 40 years, but capture it as they plat it. But, you know, Tanya didn't draft those when that came out. It was Bill Rich did most of that drafting on what's needed, and there's been some, and we're not exactly sure that maybe it's too wide in some. So Tanya and I have been discussing that.
Well, on a typical roads section, then there would be a cross section for the classification of the road. Or is it?
The classification of the road is outlined in Master Transportation Plan. There's a figure, I don't remember which one it is, and it's color coded, green, red, and local. And then I take that to Ordinance 10, and that tells us what the right of way should be platted out. Local 66, arterial, and collectors are 120s.
Yeah.
So I use them all together to make that determination.
Sure, no, that's good.
So that's why I kind of gave it all to you, because it kind of all intertwines together.
The Master Transportation Plan has to define that road, but then the ordinance defines what you need for that road.
Okay. That was my question then. So that cross section's pretty spelled out. For instance, you know, like a major arterial, we know what is going to happen there.
Yep, and then on Ordinance 10 on the back, there's an appendix that shows what a typical cross section should look like if it's gravel, if it's asphalt, if it's a collector, if it's local. There's with the ditches and everything on the back side.
And we changed up the width of the county road requirements. Tanya had we've had some conversation about that. You know, within the subdivision, I like the wider widths within kind of like just somebody maybe doing it a little extra on. We're needing to give out quite a few variances, and maybe that's still the best way to go because we can judge it spot by spot. But, you know, if you've got a county road that's been there for 30 years, it's only 26 feet wide, and somebody's just doing something on a quarter mile, pretty hard to say, well, for that quarter mile, you have to do it 20. You got to rebuild it at 28 because it's a whole county road. But if you're doing basically going to be county roads within a subdivision that's going to have 40 houses, maybe it should be wider because people have more of a tendency to make parking out on the road because they're going to something at the house. So, you know, some of these things are. I'm kind of lean towards more variances being. It's more important to have the requirement and be able to judge them on a by-case basis. But the corridor roads, I'm not sure that we need as much space except for maybe at intersections, or I don't know what the standard is for like a two lanes with a turning lane. That's in those areas at intersections, or whether you just take it all the way through and then you just have it. Who knows what it's going to be like 60 years.
Bring up a very good point, though, because if you do have a 26-foot wide road and you've got cars parked on both sides, how does that affect EMS's ability to access those properties? And
yeah, again, a 26-foot surface might be fine going down Haynes because nobody's parking there, but in a subdivision, that might not work because there's wider shoulders, because if somebody's had something at their house, all of a sudden there's a bunch of cars out on the road. So, yeah, it's a rapid keeps pushing.
Turn the interstate
into. Yeah. Well, they've, and actually the DOT has taken a bunch of frontage through that area just for the purpose already. They've acquired a bunch of frontage for the future. Probably not in my lifetime, but
South Dakota Autobahn.
yeah. Well, that's around Sioux Falls. They've got a nice, you can loop around Sioux Falls on there. All right, other thoughts or questions on the stuff provided?
When do we get the test?
When you get on, that's a surprise.
It's a pop. It's a pop quiz. Yeah.
Yeah, you just.
Any questions for staff before we adjourn? All right. Well, wasn't the fastest meeting ever, so Scott won that award. So, thanks. Anything else coming up we should be aware of, or places where people might want to drive past, just take a look at? Like a big subdivision someplace.
I do have one that's been coming back and forth. I'll just show you guys real quick.
And supposedly Hague's going to come back.
In Hague, I did get an email that he is drilling to the Madison. Getting his easements and stuff in place.
Going to actually do the well.
I guess so. Well, if that ever.
Believe it when I see it. Yeah, that it's hooked up. Yeah, running.
The Galaxy Place problem. It's the one
Yep,
way in, one way
you
out.
got
issue,
it.
right?
So Galaxy Place, this parcel here, he is piecemealing it off.
By adequate descriptions or what?
10 acres. There's a preliminary plat or a form of intent coming through.
Haven't
Problem
we
is,
been shutting people down up there because of access issues?
that's the question I have. So Galaxy Place doesn't meet any county standard at all. These two plats came through a couple years ago. There's a couple of variances not to improve Galaxy Place. So just not sure if you keep selling stuff off, when are we going to trigger Galaxy Place to be not a 14-foot wide road?
How many lots does he think about?
It's just for sale. We get quite a few interest in it. Either he's selling a lot of them by 40s, which is fine, but some people don't want 40s; they want 10-acre lots.
Well, I think if you
So that's where they're trying to stick over with the 9 so they can drill wells. There is a variance that no improvement is up there, and then most of these are over 40s.
Well, haven't we stopped a couple building permits up there on small lots?
No, not this one.
Yes, this road is awful. Trail. Had this problem in a couple spots where people will sell like a description. Somebody goes up, they can get a building permit, and then all of a sudden they're wet and they can't get to their house. Build on a cruddy road, and then they're mad at the cruddy road. But
Galaxy,
it's a non-maintained road, isn't it?
non-maintained, yeah.
Non-maintained. County has no responsibility.
So we
Pop quiz.
people under the impression that the county's going to put asphalt everywhere.
Yeah.
So the question is this guy as he continues his 500-acre lots, and I keep getting plats, I mean, when are we going to trigger the road improvement, or what are we going to end up doing up here? I mean, it does not go all the way through, from my understanding, yet to
No,
Tilford.
Tilford.
I mean, eventually.
That's on your list on your building code. That for almost has to be driven. Specified or county maintained road, then building for non-ag building.
I'll have to look at that one.
Yeah, let's add that as potential. Any other thoughts you guys have? And dry enough, if you want to drive up there, you can probably get up and out. For a while.
The what? Classified residential homes.
We got living space. Yeah. Yeah, I think on our ag buildings, you can't have exterior plumbing.
Big buildings, you can't have any residential at all.
So,
Other than that, that's not much. So you'll probably see him as a Form of Intent next month. The gentleman that's looking at buying 10 acres out of this 500.
find 10 acres someplace else.
It'd be like that lady who sat in front of us who said, wait a minute, the seller was
Yeah.
Yep.
That was a guy that was selling those long, narrow pens. Yeah, 'cause we had the same thing, and that was on Tilford, wasn't it?
eloquent.
Yeah.
Yeah, where he was selling Aliquits, and we were saying, and he came in for a plat, and we said, we're not going to let you plat it that way because you have this drainage, and you got to figure out a way to get this access. And then somebody buys it, and you're like, yeah, there's a huge, there was another stock dam basically between them and the county road, and they couldn't understand why they couldn't get a building permit when they couldn't get an approach figured out. Well, there's more than one of them that do that. You know, present company accepted, Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, the price of freedom. So that's a really good, that's a good one to flag, and I think that's going to be in the building code. We probably should just say, you know, non-ag buildings, you can't, if you don't have direct county access or private maintained access coming off of county access that's within so many feet or something. Because, I mean, those guys, that Galaxy place is bad for like 2 miles before you get to that land. Yeah, I mean, it's like 2-track trail kind of stuff.
We've been fighting that with, even way back when Bob Heigerkin was on here.
Yeah, well, there's that Galaxy place stuff, yeah. All right, then if there's nothing else, we'll adjourn. And again, thanks everybody for showing up on a Monday. Away we go. Yep, thank you.